Okay, Aaron, I'm gonna unbox your radio here and take a look at it. So, see how it's working. And for everybody wondering, this is a Galaxy 86V, DX86V here. So, probably one of the last, I'd say, radios that I really liked, made by Ranger from a few years back, anyways. So, because it doesn't have an amp board on it, and I think that their radios are way better suited when they don't have an amp board on them. I'm not a big fan of the nice pack job here too. I like that. A lot of bubble wrap. Maybe you used the bubble wrap that I sent you, but anyways, they did a good job there. So bubble wrap looks familiar. So I can't even see it, but here it is. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the amplifiers that they put on the radios. I find that to adjust them to a level where you actually have a little bit of purity in the RF spectrum, you basically have no power output. It gets to the point to where the radio doesn't do any power. And if it's a sideband radio, it does like 0 power. So let me turn that other radio down. I'm listening to Europe on 10 meter on my old school 2950 I brought up to use for a little while. So there it is. Looks like it was out in the sun for an extended period of time, because I noticed when these are out in the sun, for whatever reason, these meters like bleach out and you can't really see them. So it's kind of normal, but yeah, I haven't seen one of these in a while. I have one down in my storage. I like the radio a lot. It has a lot of the same similarities to like the 979, except it's 10 meters, so it is a little more dirty. But we'll look at that in a minute. On the RF spectrum, I don't like radios that if I'm transmitting on 27 megahertz, I don't want to see a bunch of spurious emissions outside of 27. And a lot of times these have them, and I think it's just unfortunate, but it's the way they are. So what can we really do? Because we can adjust some of that stuff out, but the ones with the amps are so bad that by the time you adjust it all out, like I said before, you got no power out of the radio. What good is the radio? No one would want the radio if it's doing, like, seriously, I had a local 2995 come through here a while back, and I was adjusting it, and I got it down to where it was super clean on the whole RF spectrum, and I'm using the spectrum analyzer to look at that stuff. So anyways, once I did that, the radio only did like 20 watts. I was like, man, nobody's going to want it like that. So then you're forced to turn it back up to make it do some power. And it just bothers me that you have to do that kind of stuff. But hey, it is what it is, That's one of the downsides to having all this test equipment, is you can see these type of things that most operators wouldn't have any idea. I'm trying to find a mic here, and then it kind of turns me off to certain radio products because I know how bad and how dirty they are, and I don't like to run equipment like that. And if I'm going to run something that may has a few issues, I run a low pass filter, but you can't fix. You can, but no one's going to take the issue and initiative to spend the money to do it. Because if, like, say, this radio's on 27205, and we got a nasty harmonic at 21 megahertz, no one's going to go out and buy a filter, a high pass filter or something, to allow the frequencies to still pass but block all the stuff behind. It's going to be very costly, and no one's going to do that. So the problem is the radios are, and I'm not saying this one's going to have that, but especially the ones with the amps, man, I don't know. For someone that just wants to yell into a microphone and yell audio and look at a power meter, I mean, they look great. So, but it's not like anybody who watches my channel. I think you guys already know how I feel about certain things. They have that starlight noise on this one. Just on that one frequency for some reason. They never really had the starlight noise, but alright, so we're on sideband. We'll just give the radio a quick test here. Dummy load is hooked up. I'll come up here to the power meter. LP 100. Hello, check 1 2. Hello, check 1 2 1 2. So yeah, it's doing probably about what they should. But what I want to show everybody is, and this is not even really set up to the right way. Let me turn that down. So what are we looking at here? This is out to 60 megahertz, and this is down to like 0 hertz here. It's basically starting point of 0. So when I transmit 1 2, whoop, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Let me actually go to AM and adjust this. So some of that stuff was generated by the machine here, but still 1 2 1 2. You got some nasty spikes here all around in here, and you got some stuff coming up over here. Hello, hello, hello. So these can generally be adjusted out. 21.3 or somewhere around there. 1 2 1 2 1 2. But the problem is, it's there and it's taking power away from here. So the radio's doing good power though. It's doing on the AM, I mean it's doing 40 watts or something, so it's good. Okay, so we know that I'm going to have to adjust some of the TX chain to try to clean it up a little bit. Now it's never going to be perfect, but it will be a little bit better. I'm going to put a two-tone into it now. I may have to adjust those tones a little bit, but we'll see how it comes out just with the standard. Let me adjust this actually on the scope. I need to put my save file back in here. Alright, that looks better. Okay, so we're going to put a two-tone in here, and I think it's probably going to be a little on the boxy side, I'm assuming, but we'll find out. Oh, wow. That is downright, whoa. Okay, well, I didn't expect to see that, so something's definitely awry with this radio, because that is not a normal situation there. So let's see, mic gain all the way up. Can kind of clean it up some with the mic gain all the way down, close to all the way down, but it's really something. So let me unkey this. I want to bring this into, what are we on, channel 37, just to see. 27375, span 20 kilohertz. Okay. Auto scale. Bring the resolution bandwidth down to a more noticeable, or wow. So what am I on here? Lower side. It's not looking too good there either. Here it is up here, so it's really unorthodox. So that's sideband. Let's go to AM. Take a look at that. Okay, here's AM. She's real dirty. Real dirty. So does the mic gain work here? Yeah, it does. So I don't think they clipped it. There's about where it should be. Funny thing with these, what I noticed always is, even when it's adjusted right, which the mic gain's almost shut off right now, but there's always a little bit of some product here and here for whatever reason. I never really understood that, but you know, it is more respectable here. What's the carrier? So the carrier's about 9 watts carrier, and then we're swinging to about 20 something on the peak. So we turn that mic gain back up all the way. There's all your distortion. You can see the power meter's freaking out because it's picking all that distortion up as reflection. So it's really crazy. Run this into an amp, you're asking for nothing but headaches. So, and trust me, the reason why I think guys are burning up transistors and burning up radios and stuff is, number one, they're doing, I mean, this radio is probably just, it's turned up all the way, I'm assuming. I hope that's all it is. But number one, there's a lot of mods done to limit the AM modulation circuit from working right, which is terrible to begin with. These radios are actually better out of the factory than what most people do modifying them and stuff. I mean, the clarity wise and signal purity, but you know, it doesn't look crazy cool on the watt meter, so that's what usually sets it apart. It's all about the watt meter. So let's look at an average just to see where we're at there. Actually, let's turn the RF. Does this have RF power on it? I thought it did. Mic gain. Is that RF gain or RF power? Oh, RF power's over here. It's really been a while since I used one of these, so I have to. Okay. So all the way down is about 3 watts. Let's take a look at it there. Yeah, it's just, oh god. So I mean, I hope that you didn't pay somebody money to do this to your radio, because you could have just went in and turned everything up yourself if that's all they did. And I'm not trying to poke any fun at anybody. Here's when I roll the power up. So kind of looks like the Detroit Tigers English D a little bit there. He took some of the fill color out of it, but yeah. Anyways, not looking too great there. So let's put this on here and see. Anyways, back to what I was saying about running radios like this and running them into really dirty amplifiers. You're just asking for so much trouble, and antennas and stuff, and just all the common mode current. It's just a world of hurt there. So let's see. 1, 2, 1, 2. You can see the average power. Huge amount of average power. When you have a huge amount of average power like that, you know there's an issue right off the bat. So it's picking up the fan noise and stuff in here. There we go. So when I speak into the mic, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So probably at the end, when I get this a little bit more squared away, it's probably going to do like 30. 32, so you're not going to lose much power, but you'll gain is some better clarity and signal purity and stuff. But there's what it does all the way up. Now all the way down it pretty much swings the same, and that's a good indication there that it's super dirty too. It's a AM splatterbox, and I don't really like to use that term, but that's what it is. So, you know, unfortunate there. Clarifier on this is locked on fine. Coarse is unlocked, so on coarse I think you can slide. That's why I liked these, because they do allow you to go to the 0 versus a lot of the newer ones that don't for whatever reason. It is very difficult to get it to the 0 on the coarse because it moves so fast, but the fine can be unlocked. And then you know, you can fine tune it a little bit, as they say, as far as dialing it in just a little. It's actually beneficial for these radios because they do drift anyway, so you have more control on the outside with the fine, and can probably do that for you if that's what you want. I just have to look it up. It's been a while since I did one, but I did it to one of mine before, so it's not a big deal. But you can align it pretty good with the course, and you can get by with it. As far as the frequency counter, sometimes it may not line up properly. This isn't a real counter anyways, it's just a display. So sometimes it doesn't always pair up as well. But see how touchy that course is? I'm just trying to center it at 375, and you know, it's real touchy, which makes it extremely difficult on sideband to talk. And it's about as good as I can get it with the course. Now it is pretty much dead on. Now this is AM, so it doesn't really matter as much here, but let's put this on sideband and just take another look at it. So I don't think you have any lights out in your meter. It's more or less that the it looks like there's a bunch of fading on the red there. That's what I've seen on some of these Galaxies, the Ranger meters that they put in, is they fade, and a lot of the older Galaxies have that too, where the red starts to fade away. So it looks like it's pretty transparently lit. The whole meter looks like it's lit, so it's a shame that they do that, but we'll put it in lower side. Whew, that's dirty. So it's not too bad right now. I mean, this is where it's at. We should be looking at 27374. It's really not all that bad. Let me see if I can adjust it a little bit. I always found with mine, I had a couple of these in my time. I mean, it's right at 12 o'clock. So as far as that goes, whoever aligned this did a pretty good job. And I'm not going to take any credit away from them because they deserve it. I mean, it's right where it should be as far as that goes. Again, it will drift a little bit, as you can see. That's just the way the radio is. There's nothing I can do to fix that. You know, as you transmit longer, it gets hotter in here and the radio drifts. So it is nature, par for the course with these. So, I mean, if somebody has to clarify you in, so be it. I mean, at a certain point, everybody's radio has the capability to do that. It's not like they're having to go like hundreds of hertz out of their where they want to be to get you in. 10, 20, 30 hertz is nothing really. So some guys are way too picky because they're on expensive HF rigs and stuff. But you know, the nature of CB was always supposed to be, okay, if I got to tune somebody in, I can tune them in. So it's not like we're here and then the guy's like, I can't even find you because you're so far off. And here's what I mean about, you know, tuning someone in. As long as they're relatively close, but as we can see, you know, the longer I leave this radio transmitting, the more drift we have, and nobody would be talking this long probably anyway. So you know, when we unkey, the radio will kind of stabilize. So I don't think that I really need to do much for the alignment part on the frequency, you know, because again, that's pretty darn good right there. If you look at the control, we're only looking at the course. The fine is non-existent here because it's receive only, so it's right where it should be. Now this is lower side, which is probably the most important anyways for you on this radio. Here's upper. Upper is just a little bit out more, but and if you didn't, obviously wouldn't have this set up like I have, you would just tune to the people you're listening to, and that's all you would do on this radio. So I never really found it an absolute necessity to unlock the fine anyways. It's perfectly acceptable there for upper, and that's where the radio is. Like I say, I really like this radio. I think it's a fun radio. I like it a lot. I love the 979 Galaxy, the CB version. I thought that was a nice radio. I loved the 949. I didn't like the 959 because I don't like having to fully disassemble a face of a radio, pull everything off to get up under the frequency counter. And maybe there's more guys that have way more experience than me working with those that figured out a way to align the thing without having to move the frequency counter up and out of your way. But I found the 959 was a major annoyance to have to do that. And I don't really need a frequency counter on a CB radio. I know where I'm at, and I'm happy to you know, work the standard 1 through 40. So a frequency counter to me isn't necessary. And if they would have put one on there like this one, where it's all more integrated and it's much smaller and it's not in the way of the board, I would have liked that radio much better. But I love the 949 for that simple reason that they don't have that. And I feel like Ranger should do themselves a solid and make more of radios like this, or the 949 or something like that. Now, I'd never experienced that TRE Top 1, but it's probably, my impression is it's going to be a very similar board to this. I think it's only a 40 channel CB out of the factory. It's a cool looking radio. I like it, the look of it, much better than I like this, although I really like these. I think functionality wise it would work a lot in the same and whatnot, but you know, they're very expensive now, and I'm not just going to buy one because I have no use for it, but I would love to try one, that kind of thing. So but it is what it is, you know. I have some 949s I saved for myself. I have one of these I think I saved for myself, and there's certain Galaxy Ranger chassis radios I really like. Even though they have their small little hiccups and whatever, I can still use them and find that they're enjoyable. So enough of me blobbing on here. I'm gonna at least try to straighten out your transmit for you, and then I'll send you a message and see what you want me to do with the frequency. But I think it's pretty good, so you know, hats off to the guy that did it. I think it was a guy in Ohio, you said, or something. Maybe he passed away or something. So it's as good as it can be for a Galaxy Ranger. So there's really not a whole lot that I'm going to do except spend a ton of time and not really gain any added benefit to it by messing with the adjustments on the board as far as frequency alignment goes. This thing is working about as good as any Galaxy Ranger would work. So you have to accept them for what they are, and it's been hard for me over the years to do that, but I have accepted them for how they respond to heat and frequency response and the whole 9 yards. So again, the AM is very picky, but you know, as you can see, it kind of stays and then it goes, and that's me barely moving this thing. If you can see here, let's see if you guys can show you guys so what I'm talking about. And it's very frustrating for me on this side. And the same thing would go if I was inside adjusting the variable resistor, or the can, or whatever you want to call it. The same thing happens. You can make it look pretty and beautiful for like 5 seconds, and then as soon as you look, I'm moving this clarifier and it's not doing anything, and then all of a sudden it does a huge jump, and that's the frustrating part of these. So see, I slowly move it, but it doesn't do anything, and then all of a sudden it just does. So it's just crazy. But I mean, we're just getting too picky here, but you know, it just jumps like 40 hertz for no apparent reason, just because, I mean, literally, here we are. That's why unlocking the fine can kind of help in this situation, because it gives it more fluent rotation, where this course is set to jump a lot at once, where the fine is set for slower pace. So, you know, if that's something that bothers somebody, unlock the fine. Now, it is on CB Tricks and all that for anyone that wants to know how to do it. It's the same, I think, for the 979 as well. So there's not really a big secret on how to do it. But yeah, the frequency, as far as I'm concerned, is as good as it can be, so I don't really want to mess with that at all. I'm not going to improve that at all, so we're going to leave that alone. This is your eval anyways, so it's kind of a long video, but the only thing left I can check really quick is your receiver, and I'll do that before I open the lid. Definitely need some issues resolved on the transmit side, though. It's very dirty. This is a shame, but there are some ways to make this go into 10 meters, I think, too. You have to modify the little expansion board in there a little bit more, but I'm not going to worry about that. I liked it because it was simple. You could go 40 up and 40 down, so kind of cool for that. Pretty simple to do. I think you had to remove one solder blob or something between 2 points, and that was it. But yeah. What are we on here? AM, channel 37. S9's looking a little high. Where's the RF gain on this? Can get that fixed up for you. Ranger radios are notorious for having stingy meters, though, above S9, so yeah, it should be back here at S9, but it's at like plus 20, so it's fixable. Let me see, it looks like the receiver's at about minus 106. It's not horrible, it's not, you know, the best, but it's okay so far. It's gonna hear. Go to sideband, lower. Got to clarify ourselves in here. Alright, so, wow, is that really? It's S60? That can't be right. You guys can understand the frustration here. You can't even barely zero beat the signal generator because the radio is constantly in like this vicious drifting cycle. So it's this is why I don't like working with these kind of radios anymore. So yeah, you're at minus 67. You should be at S9 and you're at S60 almost. So it's way off. Everybody's pegging the needle on this thing. So yeah, let's see where it hears to. 12. What is it at here? Minus 113. It's kind of deaf in my opinion, but see if we can't fix that up at all for you. So I'm going to make note of these values before I do anything. So let me find something to write with here. That way I know where we're at. So I'll grab a piece of paper. Grab something to write on here. Quansheng box will work just fine. So let's see, yeah, we lost our zero beat already, so just sitting here in receive it drifts. So again, it's a very frustrating process with these. The radio's had plenty of time to warm up, so at minus 113, now you're at S9, or right around that point. So we'll go SSB, we'll go RX and make a column SSB at 12 dB synod, we are at minus 113 dBm, okay, and S9, the calibration at minus 67 that I'll do. Let's go back to that. Your radio is at S50 plus. When it came in, it's at plus 50 over 9. Okay, go back to AM and redo that one. So the radio here is at, we'll say plus 20. This is AM RX S9. It came in at plus 25, I'll say, over 9. And then sensitivity again here was about 106, something like that. So we'll say 12 dB, synod 106. Minus 106. Okay. So I got my baselines of how it's working on the receive side, because that's stuff that you start adjusting, you know, you want to remember where you started. So I'll probably squeak some more out of that for you. I don't know if it's going to help a whole lot, but we'll come back here and we'll see what we can do. Alright, so working on your radio here. This is got a sticker on here. I'm not going to point out who was in here or anything. It doesn't matter. It's not my style or anything like that. But this is where it was at 12 dB. This is sideband, so now we're at, you can see up here on the meter, and get up there to the, so I did get a little bit more gain out of the receiver, not much, but as you can see here, I'll go to, see if I can see that. It's hard for me to see because there's all this other stupid stuff on the screen of my camcorder, like leveling stuff, so. There's like one more dB. It was pretty much at its optimal level there. So, but what I want to do now is make sure it hasn't drifted on me, because that's the common problem with these. When they drift on you, everything you're doing kind of comes off the web. So yeah, it did drift on me, because now we should peak all the way to the left when it's zero beated. So if you don't understand, if you're just an average CB user or something, you would never understand the level of frustration that these radios can cause somebody that's trying to improve the receiver and stuff like that. But it really is a hassle. So it just kind of is what it is, you know. At a certain point, you just call it what it is. But let me turn up that volume a little bit more volume. Okay. So I want to make sure when we start making our adjustment that, again, everything is peaked all the way to the left. You know, if the radio could stay zero beated, which it should, but it doesn't, it would make our job a lot easier. So okay, let's go back to our minus 9.3. Now we can see I made the adjustment, so it got some more gain out of it there. So now we're going to come to, and I say minus 9.3 because that's what it says on my generator. I know it's 20 decibels lower, so it's actually like 113, but there's about 115 right there. So that's about as good as I can get that for you. It's better than what it was. I'm going to go to minus 6.7. And I'm going to peak this again because you can see it already drifted on us. And I'm not making this stuff up. These are just the way they are. And this is a surface mount board and all that stuff, so that doesn't really matter as far as that goes. It's just common for these to be like that. So I'm going to try to adjust your S meter for the right level here. So let me do that, and we'll see how we come out there. So yeah, the S meter's way out of whack now. Now it's showing like nothing. So so I need to bring that back into some type of accuracy. So let's see. Let me pull up the diagram on this because I don't quite remember which one is which. I did remember the sideband is pretty standard for all these chassis, so let me pull that up really quick. I'll kill this tone so we don't have to listen to that crap, and I'll shut the volume off. So I just want to make sure before I do anything there. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm going to pull up the new CB Tricks. I have the account with them, so login, yep. Alright, we can look at the 80s. There's not much more on here though since I signed up. It's almost like, well, everything is so secretive now. The manufacturers and stuff, they're not sharing information anymore, so alignment locations. Alright, so I figured it was this one here, but I want to make sure. So there's a capacitor right in between the two, but alright, so now we can adjust that again. So what we want to make sure we're going to do again is 0 beat. And as you can see, it's already off. So it's really crazy, you know. That's good enough there. Alright, so we're going to go to VR2 for anyone paying attention. It's VR2. So we'll do that. VR2. There's not a capacitor, that's the other adjustment there, so I was looking at the board wrong. S9. Well, that's odd. For whatever reason, it doesn't even let me calibrate S9. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know at this point. It's a very strange radio, that's for sure. So let me dig in a little bit more to this receive, and I'll see if I can get you an S9. Because the receiver's definitely improved on gain, but for whatever reason here it doesn't want to give me a good solid S9 on the meter. So I'll probably have enough fun with this one where I'll never want to touch another one again. And it's probably just the way it is. So yeah, it's going 0 up to about 1. So okay, alright, I'll be back. Alright, so we got that squared away. We've got S9 here, so see if I can't bring the camera all the way down to the bottom. Right on S9. I don't know if we can see here now. The radio is on SSB. It's on lower. S9. Looks good. Alright, so now we're going to show I had to adjust the sensitivity just a little bit more. I had one of the adjustments was just a little too far out. So now we'll go to level minus 93 where we started. And back up here and look at the meter. It's about the same as where it was, but there's minus 105, so I'm sorry, 115, because I have 20 dB on top of the number on the screen of the signal generator. So we're at 115 there, and we're looking good. So that part's done. Next I'll do the AM and see what I can do for you there. Alright, here's AM. This is S9 for you. And you can see it's an AM there, so camera's not so friendly because it's kind of too close to things, but if we remember right, with the 12 dB it was around minus 106. So the good thing about AM is it doesn't matter if we're off frequency a little bit because it's close enough, you know, AM is AM, so you can get by with these. That's why these are really good AM radios for those purposes, because you don't have to be as picky. So here's minus 86. You can see you got a little more gain out of it now. It's a little bit ahead of the 12. Not much. There really wasn't much to be had, but here's 107. point something anyways. Squeeze a little bit more out. Not a whole lot though. So it's better than what it was, but not by a whole lot. So, you know, but at least the S meters are aligned to the proper level now, so that part is done. So now I'm going to move on to the transmit side. Alright, so this is the transmit alignment, so I'm going to adjust the driver bias. So they tell me 4, so that's what I'm going to go with. Usually I go with 3.8, but I mean the factory manual says 4, so we're going to make it 4, or right around 4 anyways. It's really close there. So we're going to call that a successful 4. Okay. Now I'm going to move that over to the first final. So I want to adjust VR10 here to 3.8, and I want to go on the barrel lead of L33. So, okay, can do that. I also did remove the mirror board for this, so there's also that part of it, which isn't really too bad. So for whatever reason, we're going to the far right one now if we're looking at the radio with the front facing my chest as I sit in front of it. So L33. I use these. Now it's black, it doesn't really matter. I know it's hooked up to the positive terminal on the multimeter here, but these are cool because you can clip on. So that's what I like to use for doing these, because that way I'm not sticking like a probe in there, you know, like this. I actually have this stuck in the radio for ground, just off to the side on like one of the little holes in the chassis. So obviously we need to key up now, and we're going to look for VR10. That's the one on the far right. So the barrel lead is on the far right, right in front of the final, the MOSFET in this situation. So so this is 3.56. We want to actually turn this one up a little bit, so we'll look for about 3.8. And if I go clockwise on this one, it goes up. I believe on the last one I went clockwise and it turned down on the driver. It's just the way it's oriented on the board. Obviously, if you put more voltage on the gate here, you probably will do more power, but you'll probably burn the MOSFET up too in a short amount of time. So I don't think where they had it was a big issue or anything, but it's really hard sometimes to get this perfect, so it's also very tedious. Sometimes you just get lucky and you hit the spot perfect. Like that's really good right there. I'm happy with that, so that's good. I'm going to unkey. The whole time I have this, the radio's keyed up, but the mirror board, this little, I call it the mirror board, you can call it whatever you want, this little board is out, so there's really no RF coming out of the radio at this point. So that one is done. Now we're going to go to the middle final, which we want to adjust VR11, and we want to go to the barrel lead of L34, which is a resistor. So we'll look for L34, and I see it right here. I used to sell these back in the day when I could get them. I liked the radio, I enjoyed it. I had a couple that were defective out of the factory, which was kind of an annoying thing, but it was just what it was at the time. So this one's also going to be set for 3.8 volts. And it's at 3.6, so I'm wondering if this one probably will be clockwise too, but we'll find out here in a minute. Yeah. Oh no, this is counterclockwise, so you just have to kind of figure it out as you go, kind of thing. But so if I get that a little bit closer. I had it. I had it. Oh, come on. See what I mean? It's very tedious. I'm sure there's a plus or minus here. Usually there is. It doesn't say it on the diagram or on the manual, but oh, there we go. See how sometimes you just got to get it, and there we go. That's about as good as I'm gonna say it is. So we're done there. All right. Now I'm gonna put that mirror board back in, and I'm gonna get this multimeter out of the way here, off to the side where it goes. I like to bring it closer because the camera doesn't reach over there, but it's just a multimeter. Is it super professional grade? I don't know, but it's decent. You know, I like Siglin. I think they make some good test equipment and stuff like that, so it's definitely what it is, you know. You can see what it is. If you like it and you're interested in it, you can look it up and add one to your bench or something if somebody's interested. But it's a good working piece of equipment for me. I like it. Are there better? Absolutely. There's better of everything. So there's nothing really, anything that's like the best of the best here. Because I mean, look what we're working on here. These radios aren't the best of the best. So obviously, all right. I'm gonna put this mirror board back in. I always shut the radio off when I do that. I don't know. Just feel more comfortable. And also unplug the power plug from it. So once that's in, it's in. The power cord back on it. Turn it back on. And now we're going to move along here. So I'll come back with another clip. This is going to be a really long video if anyone can't tell by now. But this is like everything it takes, if not more. Besides just doing these hack mods and stuff that some guys can probably do in a truck stop in 10 minutes. Alright, so we're back. And I haven't done anything else to the transmit yet. I just want to look at the RF power. So in the beginning it was at 3 point something, just adjusting those bias voltages on the MOSFETs. We're at 2 point something now. Oops, that's the brightness. Sorry, here's the power. So they did lower it just a little bit. I'm not going to worry about the power right now. I am going to turn the power up all the way though, because I do want to adjust the TX chain now, and that's important because I want to try to get out some of these spurious emissions and whatnot. So we'll do that next and see how that works out. So we're going to be looking at the left side of the radio, which is L44, 43, 42, and 40. So if you don't know what those are, and definitely don't mess with these unless you have a spectrum analyzer, so you actually know what you're changing and what it does on the screen of the spectrum analyzer versus what you're adjusting. So just to pull this up a little bit more here. So this is L40, 42, and this is 43, and this is 44. Okay, now 15 is here. That's part of your PLL, so you don't mess with that one. I'm not going to touch the PLL. I think it's locked. It's not unlocking or anything, so everything's working well there. Generally, my experience with these is you never really had to do much there, or the VCO or anything there. If the radio was like having issues where it was coming unlocked and just going off frequency for no reason, that would be an issue you want to check there. So obviously, you have your receive side here. You don't want to accidentally adjust those either, because that'll screw things up. So let's go to channel 20 here. Now when I do this, I have to expand out some because I want to see the big picture of what the radio's transmission is. So let's say span out at least to 30 megahertz. Now call me picky or whatever, but this stuff here, these little areas can be minimized. Also, if we zoom in a little bit more, let me span into like 15 megahertz. We got some stuff along the carrier that can also be adjusted down. Well, let's actually span into 10. You see these little peaks here? These shouldn't be there either. So I'm going to go back out to 15 because it's giving me a pretty good picture of everything and where I want it to be. Let's see if I can't enlarge some of that just a little bit for you guys. So if we unattenuate it a little bit, a lot of that stuff is way down in the noise, but still it's there. It's there, and it's taking away from here by all this crap here. So what we're going to do is start adjusting this. You're going to see at times things go up and then they come down, but at the end we want to try to clear all this out and only have this here and not all this other stuff. That's the goal anyways, and a lot of times it is time consuming, so I'm not going to put everybody through it, but you can see as I start to make changes, see how things are starting to drop down, but then they come back up. So a lot of these only have the capability to do so much that you go too far, then they come back up. And this is what I mean by when you have one of these radios that has an amp on it, you really can clean it up a lot, but at the end of the day you get no power out. And no one's going to want a radio like that. So see, they're starting to drop some, and now they come back up. So there's only an extent that you can go so far with certain ones, and it is a kind of a process here, but see how they're dropping? Isn't that a beautiful thing when that starts to happen? Look at that. Not doing much for the power meter, but that's not the goal of this. The goal is to make the radio as clean as possible. Isn't that nice though? Alright, so that's 43 right there. 43 always did a lot for these radios, L43. This is L44. I'll see how it starts to come back to life a little bit. So we can bring that one down. Okay, so that one's not going to do much for us. So now we'll come back up to the top one. This is L40, and we'll start to readjust. Okay, look what L40 did. Now that minimized even more, but see, it brought some of that other stuff out. See how it works? So we want to lose that one, but now we gain that one closer to the carrier again. So, you know, it's a win-win, lose-lose sometimes. Alright, here's that one that seemed to make a good change before for us. Let's bring it up another peak. Sometimes you can only do so much. So that one's not going to do much for us. I want to get that one about as low as I can. Okay, so you see if you don't have a spectrum analyzer, you got no business messing around with this stuff. If you don't have one that can show you a good idea, let's try to do that for once here and just see. I did bring out some other stuff here and here, but I do like that this one is lowering. See how I'm lowering it? Some of the other cans here might be able to lower the other one with it now, so we'll see. No, that's definitely, oh yeah, so now we've basically minimized that one out and that one out. So now, with any luck here, we can start to, oh, that's not going to help us. With any luck, we can get more of that out. Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's just a moment of it is what it is, because you can take it out, but then you got those higher, so sometimes you have to live with what it gives you, and there's nothing really you can do. I mean, the radio was designed like this, so you know, at a certain point it's like, well, can I sit here and hope for the best or just move on? And I'm about ready to move on from it. So let's see here, if we take this one out to a big extreme, hey, that's something there. That's looking better there. See, that L43 does a lot. So I like what that just did for me. Okay. Yep, it's looking better than what it did when it started. So yep, so that's going to be it for it. So now the fundamentals at like plus 28 dBm, and pretty much cleared out everything. So when you think about it, plus 28, and that's about 30 down, so this is like 60 down or 70 down right here, which is perfectly fine. This is down at around 22 megahertz, so it's minus 40 or so, and we're up there plus 28, so we're like 78, 80 down. So this is basically nothing now, and that's about as good as I can make this radio, which I think is going to be better on the RF spectrum anyways, and that's what you want. So now I can move on to the regular alignment part of it, like setting the dead keys and trying to adjust it for a cleaner output and see how that goes. So that's the important thing here, is that's covered. There's no amp on here, so we didn't really lose a lot of power or anything like that. You know, when you do that with the amplified radios, a lot of times you lose a ton of power, because the amp, you're basically taking all this bad stuff out of the amp and there's nothing left. Alright, so we're done here. We know that I've cleaned up as much of this as I feasibly can. It's better. I did adjust the high power now. I always set these to 8 watts, so they're good. I'm going to dial this back to 20 kilohertz span. Again, there's always this little bit of product here on these radios, and I don't know why, but it is what it is. So if we look over here on the corners, you can see that here and here. I don't know why they have that. It's just the way the radio's made. I am going to check actually before I do that. If I remember, there was something, if I remember, it's been so long since I've worked on one of these. I'm going to check a few things in the PLL, because I want to make sure, because I feel like I could adjust that out with the PLL. So let me check that, because I doubt that they did anything. They didn't do any of this stuff, so I doubtfully they did that too. So I might as well just check that too. Okay, so yeah, I did make the adjustment, and that's in the VCO voltage. So it's 2.75 volts plus or minus 0.1 volt, 0.1 volt. So it was a little high. I don't know if that, I can't remember, to be honest, because I obviously don't work with these that much anymore, but I want to say that that did help. But if it doesn't, it doesn't, but at least I checked it and adjusted it. No, it didn't. So I don't really know what the culprit is with that. That was something that always was strange to me. Because if we span out here to say 25 kilohertz, you can see that there. It's very odd why those are there. They were there before I started the radio, and I think I mentioned it in the video, but it's just a very odd thing, and it's at like the next frequency down. So we're at plus 29 dBm here, so, and then we're like almost 40 some down for that, but it is there, and that is something I just don't remember if I could ever overcome, and I don't think that I could. I think that was something that kind of turned me off to this radio too. It's because of that, and I just don't know why that is. But if anyone knows, let me know in the comments or something if you've experienced that yourself. So other than that though, it's ready to get aligned, so we'll start on that and go from there. So again, I'm going to just bump it up to about 8 watts on high. It's going to be about 8.2. Well, there's a little bit of leeway there. It's either going to increase a little bit or decrease a little bit, but at least it'll be somewhere in the 8 watt range. Okay, here is our find our mic gain control here, which is going to be VR16, which is the bottom one. The other one above that is AM low power, so we'll work with that next after I do the mod. So just put the mod back into the radio. Very, very, very dirty, just like I showed before. So hopefully we can clean this up now some. Okay, well, I think they clipped it, so I think that your buddy there at your CB shop, I think he clipped it because the AMC control doesn't work. So that's going to be something I'm going to have to research on. So yeah, that's a shame, but yeah, it's taking no effect. So it's unfortunate that he clipped it, but whatever. I was hoping that wasn't the case, but I mean, you have to turn your mic gain down to about 10% for it to look somewhat respectable. So it's unfortunate. You can still see those little products up there with the modulation. Remember I showed you in the beginning, like over here and over here. But you know, with modulation, it's really weird. I don't know why that is, but it's an imperfect radio in an imperfect world, so just take it for what it is. But this would be really nice here if the adjustment here was actually functioning. So whatever they did, they modified something here to disable this. So I'm assuming they took out like a 3-legged transistor somewhere. I'll have to find. There's a Q58 missing right here. Could that be it right there? Could I have already found it? It's funny that there's a spot there for, and I have these, so if that's what it is, I can put that back in there. Very well could be, but I'm not 100% sure because I've never ran across one of these that was clipped. So maybe I can look on if there's a schematic on this CB Tricks. Maybe I can look at that really quick and they'll tell me if that's the right one. There's also a Q45 up here that's removed. Maybe that's missing for a reason though. Actually, I think it's this one. There's a Q39. I'm pretty sure with these it's Q39. So I'm sure if I put something back in there, it will work again. That's probably what we want to do. So, but I'll have to look at the schematic and see if Q39 is in the path there, which it probably is, because I think Q39 is on a lot of these Galaxy ones. Sounds about right. So I don't know. So I can't do nothing there yet with that. Probably the sideband I can work with though, because it's doubtful that they did anything there. Although it looks horrific, so they very well could have pulled the main one out, and maybe Q39 is the main one. It probably is, because that's why the radio looks so bad, but I don't know. And it's with the mic gain like partially down. Yeah, buddy. Alright, let's just take a look at the ALC really quick and see if that makes any change when I adjust it, which probably it's not going to. No. Yeah, they did a basic clip and snip.
What is all of this?
Why would they do that? I don't know. It's just stupid in my opinion. So I'm gonna, I guess before I go any further, I got to put a limiter back in here because I can't align something that won't take an alignment now. So, yeah. What a bummer. So I'm spending a lot of time on this. I mean, that's the problem with these, is they take a lot of time to align, get right. Are they worth all the time and money and everything to put into them? When you can buy something else that works perfectly well out of the factory, make a few adjustments, and it's even better. So I don't know. You guys are the ones that would use these more than I would. So the community has to decide, is it worth it? Would you rather just pay the guy to go in and say, okay, which one of these do I pop out? Oh, okay, it's this one, or that one, or whatever, and then you just yell audio into the mic, and look what I did to your radio, and look how loud it is, and that's it. So, I don't know. If it were me, I'd want it done like this, because my own radios, this is what I sit and do. Even the ones I don't talk on anymore, I have spent time and sat here and done this type of stuff to them, but hopefully we can't see that sticker there. I don't know if it ever showed or not. If it did, it wasn't my intention, but yeah, I mean, this is the type of work he does. I mean, the guy was well known. I think it's a shame. I don't know if he did it or not. I'm not going to point any fingers or call any names or anything, but we got to figure out which one of these transistors has to go back in so we can get some limitation back on the circuit. So I'll be back once I figure that out, and yeah, should have probably checked that first, but I knew other things needed to be changed, so aligned and stuff. So the big thing was all those spurious emissions that I lowered. Alright, so there's our culprit right there. This transistor is out of circuit, and that's what's causing the radio to be so horrific on transmit. So again, it doesn't always mean that you sound terrible, but it does mean that the radio performs absolutely horrific, and all that power, the extra power that clipping that limiter does, is doing absolutely nothing to help you at all. Actually, it's working against you. The power meter lies to you. I mean, it's just a simple fact. It doesn't matter really what meter you have. I mean, even the Bird will tell you a different story with a clip limiter or a average power swing mod, all that stuff that's real popular in the CB world. And I don't mean to say the CB world because I'm like knocking CB or anything. I'm a really big fan of CB by like all rights. I love CB and all that, but it's just I don't love certain aspects of it, and this is one of the aspects that is totally untrue, is all the fictitious swing mods and all this average power crap that these guys are doing is totally unnecessary. And this is a prime example of you know, if you have one of these radios, just pop a look inside. Probably it's the same for most. I think it's the same for most of these Galaxy Ranger chassis of this era, like 2517 is probably the same way and stuff. It's the Q39, I believe, is what that is. I don't know. I have to look on the other side of the board, but I'm assuming that's the one. Because I don't see any missing here. At least they desoldered it, and it looks like they didn't, like, I mean, I don't know, it's hard to see on the camera, but it looks like it'll be an easy one to reinstall. They didn't burn the trace or anything like that. So where did it go? There it is. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna put one of these in. I got some of these. It's good to have. Put one in, and that should fix our problem there. Alright, so we're back in business here. Got a waveform that looks okay so far. So still about 8 watts. The VR16 now works. It was the Q39. Looks like I thought it would be, so you can adjust it, you know, pretty hot if you want it. Obviously you can go well over by turning it all the way counterclockwise, but I don't want to do that, so that's probably good there. I want to see what it does on low power though too. So I didn't adjust the low power carrier yet, so let me do that. I'm going to give you 1 watt, so turn this down on low, try to balance it a little bit if I can. Going to be between 1 and 1.2, somewhere in that range will be good. So we'll modulate it again and see what happens. Oops. Alright. You know, and out of the factory it pretty much, I mean, maybe the low power can get moved a little bit, but it pretty much looks good out of the factory, so I don't know why people go in and clip limiters, and in this case they removed Q39, but I mean it has a ton of audio there. If somebody's not happy with, this is 100% at this bar, or well over, Or almost 200% there, 150 at least. So if you're not happy with that kind of modulation, then I don't know what to tell you, because the other way isn't any good. And you can see up here it looks really nice, aside from that little bit here and here. And it's just a characteristic, a weird thing of this radio, and that's why I did like the 979 more, because you didn't have that, and it just seemed to be a cleaner radio because it was a certified CB. So for whatever reason it just has a cleaner output. But this is the high power now, so it looks really nice. So we're done on AM. Let's come over to sideband, take a look at that now that I have the limiter in. I think that's the main limiter too, I'm assuming. So yeah, hopefully it is. Let's see if I can make some sense out of this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he did, but it sure is bad. There we go. Okay. That's already looking a little bit better, at least more natural. These radios are really weird though on sideband. They never respond well to the standard tone. So let me put a little bit more in. That's getting better. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we want to make sure we get a nice tone. No matter how you inject the tone, eventually it will look somewhat normal. There we go. Alright, so now we can work with that. I just want to make sure that it stays nice and round. So it's starting to flatten off there. So you have the limits. There, it's starting to round back off. So that looks really nice. Now don't be surprised if this doesn't do the power you used to on sideband, but the big difference is it's going to be clean power. So that's the main issue with these. And that's why when you have an amp on board, man, it's just a nightmare. They don't do clean power. And if they do, you sure ain't going to get nothing out of it, and it does more power on AM than it will on sideband. So this radio is good because there's no amp. If we crank that, then it gets dirtier. Nice round level. That looks good. So what does it do in peak? About 20. So okay, alright, can deal with that. So let's put this cover back on now. And I didn't do anything with the mod meter yet or anything like that. I gotta clean the bottom of your case off a little bit. I got some flux residue. I got some goo off I can put on there, some flux residue on there. But it's looking good now, so just to sit up here for us, alright. So let's get out of this. Let's put my microphone back on this and see how it's working. So probably be a big difference on power output though on sideband. Our power's up all the way. Peak power. I don't know. I don't remember with these. Well, it's not too bad. So it's 1 2 3 1 2 3 check check 1 2 1 2 about 20 something. But the difference is it's clean power now. 1 2 3 1 2 3 hello. 1 2 3 1 2 3 hello. So you're not going to see much movement on the mod, or I'm sorry, on the power meter on the radio. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. So I can show you that. I think before it was like slamming the corner. Hello, hello, 1 2 1 2. I'm using KPO and M532 on here, so it has a ton of modulation going in. But yeah, let me put this on my 2950, see if I can take a quick listen. Let's go to channel 31. I love that mechanical channel selector though. That's a thing in the past, but it's nice. What are we on here? Lower. 1, 2. One, two, 1, 2, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, you guys probably can't hear that, but it does sound clear. Obviously, we're squealing like crazy. 1, 2, 1, 2, check, check, 1, 2. Okay, that's lower. I mean, I've had the cover off this for over an hour or longer now, so the alignment is way out of whack. But that'll come back as the cover stays on and it sits. I didn't change anything in the alignment process. Here's upper. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. 1, 2, 1, 2. Nice and respectable, anyways, for a Galaxy Ranger. So that's good. AM. You're really loud here, I bet. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check. Hello. 1, 2, 1, 2. So you can see the power meter. Hello, radio. Actually, not too bad. 1, 2, 1, 2. You don't want it to peg. You don't want it to peg out when you're talking, because that'll be really hard on the meter. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, check, check. Hello. 1, 2. All right. Not doing too bad now. So bring this back up here. We'll look at some power numbers. So this is RF power all the way down. Okay, and it's swinging still pretty good even with the RF power all the way down. So again, it's not swinging as high, but it's still got that typical Ranger AM push that a lot of these have. So, you know, it's doing pretty good for what it is. Here is, let's try to get about 4 watts on this. There's 1. Okay. Here's 4 watts. So with 4 watts, it pretty much swings everything. 1, 2, 1, 2. I will adjust the mod meter more for the higher end, for top end RF power. I think he said you probably won't ever run an amp with this, so you can always change that however you want. It's easy, just go in there and adjust the adjustment. I can tell you what it is if you don't know, but where'd that chart go? It is VR15. So if you're ever, whoop, we lost our focus, sorry. It's VR15 for the mod meter. So there's the power from 4 watts. Pretty good. It's not a 50 watt radio. I think they used to advertise it as that, but sorry, it doesn't do that. It's only 2 finals. 1 drive and 2. So I might have to bump that up a little bit. That's another thing with these. It's kind of annoying. You set the dead key and then it changes on you. It's always something. But anyways, even with the 6 watt dead key, that's where it's at, about 36. So that's about the top end, about 36. So it obviously does more in AM. So that's that for you. I'm going to set the dead key. So I'm going to set that for you again. And then I will shoot you a text and ask you if you want the fine clarifier unlocked, because there's no sense after I let it sit for a while, if it is slightly out, there's no sense trying to align it at that point, because I'll have to realign it if I unlock the fine clarifier anyway, so might as well do it all at once. That way it's done and over with. So I'm going to set it for about 8 again. I don't know why it changed. It's kind of stupid, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense with these style radios for whatever reason anymore. They are what they are. I'm glad they made them though. I like them, but it's just so many things that are annoying about them. Guess the mod still looks good on low. I'm just checking that again. It looks really good on high, so that's all set up right. Actually, it's a little bit of a pinch on the top. Yeah, there is. Huh. I'm going to take that dead key down a little bit. That's usually a sign that for whatever reason it's got to come down. So we'll bring it down just a little bit more. It's going to be 1 to 6. Maybe that's why I did that and I just don't remember doing it. So we'll leave it there. Okay. Now I'll see. Yeah, now it's nice and round. Okay. Alright. So yeah, it was whoops. It was a little bit flattening off on the top of the positive. Now it looks really nice though. So when that happens, the dead key is usually too high on a you can see where it really ramps up in the beginning and then it kind of falls back that first time I send that tone. Just a low power. 1 to 6. Really nice there too. A lot of audio still, so it's definitely not lacking there. Alright. Long video here. So I don't like to do these radios a whole lot, but there's a lot more to do. A lot more to recheck and change over and all that good stuff. So I will send you a message and see what you say, and then we'll come back if need be.